Hi, so today we will be talking about Azure App Service and automatic scaling, which is something new provided by Azure. And I will start with sharing my screen and my article published in Microsoft Azure blog on Medium. And the goal of this article and this video is to share basic scenarios when you can use this automatic scaling and what is the difference with existing custom metric scaler. It's also called autoscale, but this is the naming from the Azure. And so after good experimentation, I decided to help customer and then share this problem with everyone, so everyone can understand how it's working and what is the benefits, pros and cons. But let's continue with the old autoscaler. So the old autoscaler is working for both scale out and scale up. So it's scale up and scale out, and scale in and scale down. There is no maximum limit there, and I mean it's limited by the platform features obviously, but there is no small fixed limit there. And it's working for both Windows and Linux. And it's based on virtual machine scale sets. It uses metrics like CPU, memory, input-output bytes and megabytes to set up your conditions to scale out and scale up instances. So, and it depends really on your decisions, so you need to understand in depth how to work with your application. And one of the side things regarding blue-green deployment is that you don't need to have the same number of instances of virtual machines ready available for switch of the deployment slots with particular load. And let's talk about the new automatic scaler. It's based on the Azure Functions HTTP scaler. It doesn't have really like conditional metrics and etc. So it's only uses HTTP requests as a prediction to scale out your instances. It doesn't do the scale up. Another limitation of the preview is that it is working only with premium instances, which is quite expensive. You have a same configuration as with Azure Premium Functions. So you have a scale out configuration and you need to adjust it according to your application or the app service. But let's switch to the configuration briefly. So in the app service plan, here you have a basic configuration. You can select automatic scaling and you can select a rule based. And if you select an automatic scaling, you have a limit of minimum of 1 instance and you can span it up to the 30. And the same configuration is available from the application side. But on application side, you have a configuration of the maximum burst for this entire service plan. But besides this, you can enforce a scale out limit, and you can set maximum scale out for the particular application. It's super important. If you have several applications deployed to the same resource plan, you can adjust one for 5 instances and another one adjust to 24. Because it will be 1 to 24. And this way they will have enough resources to run in the parallel. But this is quite basic configuration and the limit here is 30. This limit for the scale out can be quite small, but because you can use quite performant instances from Premium V2 and Premium V3, this should not be a problem for your application. But let's switch to the resource group. So I have a standard web application created with MVC.NET 6. I'm also using Application Insights and Azure Load Testing. Now I will do the new run, and for this new run, and we will observe this run with our Application Insights. One thing of importance here is that I'm using quite heavy number of requests, so it's 165,000. And so as you can see, we have a spike in the CPU. Not much of the spike in memory because it's super simple application. In a matter of few seconds we will see the biggest spike. Yes, it is now at 80%, at 92. Yes, it's over 100 and it's because it's throttling. Now we see the first exception because it's starting of the new instance, another exception because it's internal one, and starting of another instances, another one, another instance is up and running. And now now Azure trying to evenly spread these requests across instances. So as you can see, we have now 4 instances, and it's 1, 2, 3 instances additionally was spawned here. And as you can see, everything ended. Our test run is already here. And as you can see, there is a response time spike here, and afterwards, after the scale, everything worked perfectly fine. It will be refreshed in a minute or two. But before we look into the monitoring and queries, you should understand that this scaler will result in some latency increase and some slowdown of responses on the first node. As you can see in the spike on the screen, it was a major slowdown for the existing requests on the main node, but after the scale out happened super fast, and it's really powerful, and it can deploy a quite big application to these machines. So let's have a look into our analytics. Here we can see the requests over 30 minutes and with spikes per machine. So this graph shows requests per machine. And if you will switch back to the article, one important point is that you need to set a scale controller login enabled in the application. Let's switch to the application. Let's switch, it's a service plan, and this is our application. Let's switch to configuration, and we see that scale controller login enabled application insights verbose. Essentially, this is configuration for Azure Functions. But because the scaler, it's essentially a version of Azure Functions Controller, maybe it's the same. I have a link in the article to the source code of this scaler. So this is required to have a good this settings is required to have a good observability and to understand what's going on with your scale, so you can search your logs and understand what's going on there. And here in this article that it will be linked below, you have several queries with explanation what they will show in the application insights analytics. So you can just copy paste them and use them for your investigation of how your application was scaled and what kind of issues there can be. So if we will run this query, you see that I'm using this query to get number of machines and number of instances that was run, and this is overall for the one day, but you can do this with different time frame for a single run. And you can use this article for reference. Also for reference, I'm provided the same scenario with load tests. The same explanation of the exception, that it's normal, but with this exception, with tracking of this exception, you can really understand how many instances was created there. And conclusion of this, like overall short and simple overview, that it will be generally available in 2024. Scenarios for usage of this automatic scaling is quite puzzling actually, because if you have a heavy application that requires premium V2 and V3 machines with a lot of CPU and a lot of memory, so it's not a standard plan, then you will need to use probably metric scaler. And metric scaler, it's something that you configure and tailor for your application for spikes and change it for events like a Black Friday at will. But this kind of scale with powerful machines, and the scale happens super fast, much faster than metric scaler, you can use for like super intense, memory intense, CPU intense application that can have a huge spikes. So essentially, if you run an application on one powerful machine, then you can run it on several machines with quite high performance and a lot of memory, a lot of CPU. If you will get a spike of 200,000 requests over 1 minute, this automatic scaler will do the job for you. So thanks for watching. Read the article. There is links, there is explanation in text, and see you soon.